Hello. Welcome back to the Bookcast. This is episode 42 of the Bookcast, my platform for sharing short fiction and updates on what I'm reading and writing. The Bookcast is hosted by me, D.L. White. I am an Atlanta-based author of romantic fiction featuring Black men and women. I am also a big fan of books, so we usually begin with the book report, and we talk about anything I'm writing. I am currently working on a Black Diamond novella, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. If you'd like to support this show or me as an author, I welcome you to do so, and I would be most appreciative. I am super, super slow, though, and let me tell you a not-so-funny story. I have been giving out the wrong address for my support site this whole entire time, so Ko-fi or Ko-fi, Ko-fi, and Buy Me a Coffee are two separate sites that look identical. They look very much alike. I thought Buy Me a Coffee rebranded into Ko-fi, Ko-fi. I'd still call it coffee. It's still coffee to me. So I was wondering why I was going in and updating, but they weren't showing up at Buy Me a Coffee. I'm like, where are my updates going? So I would like redo it, and it wasn't showing up because I was logging in to ko.fi and looking at Buy Me a Coffee. There are two different sites, DL. They're two different sites. Okay. All right. Wake up. Yeah. So I actually deleted my account at coffee, ko-fi, and made sure, because I was doing my updates at buymeacoffee.com, and that's the site I want to stick with. It's prettier, it's bright, and I had more updates there. And I actually had more pledges there, more donations there. So we're at buymeacoffee.com/books by DL White is my book site. I have updated the links everywhere that I can think of, so hopefully I'm not sending people to the wrong website. You are welcome to go there, make a one-time or recurring gift of support to the Bookcast. They have a fun feature over there called a wish list, so you can like write down things that, would be fun or useful. So I've been having fun actually pulling stuff off of my Amazon wish list and adding to my wish list over at Buy Me a Coffee. And so you can pick something and you can either contribute to a wish or you can completely fund a wish. So it's pretty cool. I only have a few things on here, and please don't take this as me saying, hey, buy me stuff. But if there's a gift-giving holiday coming up and you're just wondering, hey, what can I get DL for this gift-giving holiday, or like Arbor Day, or like, Labor Day to thank me for my labor? There's a couple of items here on this wish list. There is Yves Saint Laurent Black Opium perfume. Black Opium is my favorite perfume. It's really the only scent I wear, mostly because I pick up scents at like Nordstrom or whatever, and then I lose the little vial thing. I don't know what they're called, so I have not picked a new scent because I can't remember what anything is called. I would love to replace my MacBook Air. The one I'm using is fine, but the D key does not work. And I think I got this in 2016, and it was already a few years old. I would love to replace my MacBook at some point. I put a year of Canva Pro on here. It's $100 a year. I use Canva for everything. I use that thing on everything. Personal, work, books, promotions, everything. I got a couple of cute pair of earrings, an Amazon gift card. I do not read print, but I do buy digital books and stuff like that on Amazon. So an Amazon gift card is always appreciative. I got an Amazon gift card for Administrative Professionals Day from my boss, and I used that to buy a couple really nice things for myself. I bought a nice wallet, and I bought a vial of Black Opium perfume. So it was delightful. I put a Fire HD 10 Plus tablet. It is bigger than the tablet that I have currently. My current tablet is moving real slow, and I'm on the verge of replacing it, but it still works. So, and then I have two campaigns here to record audiobooks, The Never List and A Thin Line. I would love to get into audio. It is just, I have to pay out of pocket and I do not have pockets to pay out of. So I do have 2 campaigns that readers can contribute to or fund for audiobooks. So those are there. 100% no pressure, but they are there if you're just wondering, hey, how can I shove more money toward DL White? There you go. So thank you for joining me for this episode. Today is Saturday, May 13th. It is 9:22 a.m. I think it is going to rain today. I'm not checked the weather, but I think it's going to be a rainy day. If you're a seasoned listener, a bibliophile, or just looking for a good read, I hope you'll enjoy today's show. I'm happy to have your ears for this time. I'm excited. I'm excited to share my love of reading and writing books with you. I have got a mic. I have this big red Yeti stainless steel mug of coffee. And I'm ready to dig in. Coffee is a gift from the gods. It's so good and warm and delicious. Okay, we begin as always with a book report because I'm a book head. I'm a book person. I am influenced by books and the people who write them. I'm still putting 25 books ahead on my Goodreads challenge. I have slowed down quite a bit on reading, mostly because I had a busy week. I was slap busy, y'all. I had 3 of 5 days this week in office. Listen, working in the office is actually really messing with my lifestyle, and I don't want to do it. I have to go back on Tuesday. We have a town hall, and I have a couple of meetings, so I'm going in on Tuesday, and then I'm not going back until June, I promise. I swear to God, I'm not going back until June, because it be messing with my lifestyle. It's really cramping my style over here. So this week I read 2 books. I read Close to Home by Robert Dugoni. He's a thriller writer, like a mystery crime fiction police procedural writer. This book was Tracy Crosswhite number 5. It was pretty good. It's like a 3.5-ish stars. Not bad. Making my way through the Robert Dugoni Tracy Crosswhite series. Then this morning I got up early and started my book. I finished The Lie Maker by Linwood Barclay. We were talking about this on Kay the Reader's Live last night. I've read all of Linwood Barclay's books. I have not read his YA books, but all of his adult fiction, crime fiction novels, I read every single book by Linwood Barclay. The Lie Maker is pretty good. It's a slow start to me and a little confusing. A lot of back and forth, and a lot of players in this novel. Around 80%, the action really ramps up and it gets wildly exciting. And I enjoyed it. It's like a 3.5 star, not 3, but not a 4, but I can't do half stars on Goodreads. So I'm probably just gonna, maybe I'll be generous and call it a 4 and then put my caveats in my review. But that book comes out on Tuesday. If you enjoy crime fiction, Linwood Barclay is worth a read. I'd say start with his earlier work, like The Accident was the first book I read from him. It was super good. Yeah, I enjoy his work. We also talked about an author I enjoy called John Lesquat. It looks like Lescro art, but it's Lesquat. I have read all of his books. He has 2 long-running series, the Wyatt Hunt, who is a private investigator, and Dismas Hardy series, which is a cop-lawyer duo. The Dismas Hardy series is about 20 books long. I have read every book, and it's important to start at the beginning because you meet Dismas Hardy and Abe Glitsky. They are they live in San Francisco. One's a cop, one's a lawyer. Like you meet Dismas's kids in the first book, and so if you start at the end, not Abe's, but Dismas's daughter is 20. You got to meet the Beck when she's like 3. So, you got to start at the beginning. Very important to start at the beginning and work your way up. And I love those kinds of series because those are like my comfort reads. I can just blow through a whole series, especially if they cover like a specific series of events in a character's life. I love that kind of stuff. That's a comfort read for me. So those are the 2 books that I got read this week. I am currently reading entirely too many books at once. Yesterday I was reading 4 books. I was reading 4 books at a time. I had to start The Lie Maker because it comes out on Tuesday, and I knew if I didn't start it yesterday, it was not going to get read. So I read that all day yesterday, and I finished this morning. The Thing About Home by Rhonda McKnight. I was waiting on the audio for that book. It came out last Tuesday. I had an arc for it, but due to my busy work schedule, I just couldn't get to it. So I waited for the audio, and I got the audio and started it. I think I'm at like maybe chapter 3 or 4. I want to fight her husband in the street, but I'm not too far along in that book quite yet. It's slow going. I'm gonna get to it when I get to it, but I am listening to that one. I am also halfway through Always and Forever by Beverly Jenkins. It is quite good. And then I started Tracy Crosswhite number 6, A Steep Price by Robert Dugoni. And that's another one that I pull it out. I usually will listen to this like at night. I typically read during the day because I need something to play while I keep my hands busy, but I have had so many podcasts to listen to that I haven't been getting to my audiobooks until late afternoon. So I will start that like right as I'm starting to shut down during the day. I turn on my audiobook and I clean up my desk and I go through my email and I change into my comfy clothes and I make some dinner. And that's when I'm kind of listening to my books for pleasure. So that is the book report, the reads and the writes for it this week. For my writing/author update of the week last week, I attended the Subscriptions for Authors Summit. It was pretty good. If you are on their YouTube channel, if you subscribe to their YouTube channel, all of the sessions are up, so you can listen to them at your leisure, which I do plan to listen to them. I was in and out. I had several online commitments last week, so I'm going to be kind of in and out listening to them again and maybe taking some notes. Really good testimonials for creating a subscription as an author, and what it basically is to not treat your readers as a paycheck. Don't look at your readers as a dollar. You create raving fans of your work and your work ethic and your books, your characters, your settings, your series, and you reward those people for being raving fans and staying loyal and asking about the books and telling other people about the books that they enjoy. And you offer ways for those people to support you, to continue to support you and your work. How do you do that? What is what are things that work really well? What are things that readers seem to really enjoy? What are things that readers don't respond to at all? That kind of approach, not looking at it as here's how you can make a lot of money as an author by creating a subscription program. So lots of things to think about, stuff to take notes on. There are some things that I, as an author, am not interested in doing. There's some things that I, as an author, don't have the bandwidth, and I'm not really creative enough to do certain things. But there's a couple things that I could probably implement to reward readers for being a part of this whole ecosystem that's called being an author and being an indie author. It's one thing to be a fan of a traditionally published author. It's a whole other ball of wax to support an indie author, because everything that comes out of Books by D.L. White has my dollars behind it. It was really good. If you're an author, I encourage you to find the Subscription for Authors Facebook group. Good resources in there. And there is the Subscription for Authors YouTube. I will say that it was a heavy push for Ream, which is a Patreon-like platform created by authors for authors. I don't think Ream is quite the speed for me yet. I need an ability to create a free tier, and I don't see that possibility on Ream. The lowest price you can make a tier is $3. I mean, I guess you could post and make it visible for everybody, but I Buy Me a Coffee is working fine for me right now. It's working fine. I need the option for people to donate or support. And I don't, I feel weird and squicky at telling people, hey, you can get, the super secret password by giving me $5 a month. I'm not quite at the Patreon subscription level quite yet. Not quite yet. And that's a lot of that is just me being weird, but it's very important to me to not really, not get into a point where I'm starting to treat readers like a wallet. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's where my brain is right now. So on the writing front, I have been tuning back into author Leslie Penelope, who has a really great author podcast called My Imaginary Friends, and she has been plotting a new book. And I have listened to this episode probably 4 or 5 times because I am inspired by her process. And there are a lot of times where I look at how other authors do things and evaluate them as to whether or not they could work for me. A thing I really like that Leslie is doing is using artificial intelligence to support her efforts as an author in planning, not so much in writing, but in book planning. And so it looked fun. And so I decided to try it. In her latest episode, number 216, she talks about plotting her new novel, and she is using a number of resources like SudoWrite, like ChatGPT, etc. I listened to that episode quite a few times. Really inspiring, motivating. It gave me some good ideas, and it also reminded me that I'm a little bit stuck. I'm struggling with Elysium right now, and a lot of that is because, as I said a few weeks ago, I have not thought about this book enough yet. Like, so much of the planning goes on in my head before I even start writing it. If I haven't thought about a book long enough, I don't have enough thoughts rolling around in my head yet. It hasn't planned itself in my head. It's not playing out like a movie in my head quite yet. And that it makes it hard for me to then put that on paper. I haven't imagined it yet. And so now it's not yet on paper. And one of the things that I used to do was do all the beat sheets and do all the book planning and like really cement these people in my head as real. And then the dialogue starts to come and the story starts to play out. What I think I did when I wrote Rubies is I would do a 2-page synopsis, like week after week after week. Here is what happens in this book, chapter by chapter. When, writing Dinner at Sam's is when I discovered Romancing the Beat. And then I started implementing a beat sheet, particularly for romances. There are beats that you need to hit when you're writing a romance because readers have expectations, and you can't like go out there, be all wild and not follow the beats. I mean, you can, it's your work, you can, but readers have expectations. And while they do like an author that tells a story a different way, they still want you to hit the beats. That's what gives them the warm fuzzies and the feelings. Like, they kind of know what's coming around the corner. They just don't know how you're going to bring it around the corner. I heard someone say back when I first started writing that romance is so predictable. Like, you always know how it's going to end. And that is the comfort of romance. The promise that a romance writer makes to a reader is that the love story is going to be the central plot. That's going to be the center of everything. Even if you have an external motivator, an external conflict, the central story is going to be your hero or your character A, character B, your main characters, your lovers, in trying to be inclusive. And I'm stumbling all over my words. The love story is going to be your central plot. And the story has to have a satisfying ending. Everything else in there you can play with. You can do whatever you want. You can have a third act miscommunication breakup if you want to, because that's your business. As long as when that story ends, it is satisfying. It's happy for now or happily ever after. if you're writing a love story and that ending is not satisfying, it is not a romance. It is not a capital R romance. It is whatever that is with romantic elements. It is whatever that is with a love story in it, but it ain't no romance. And that is a hill I will die on. You can pick up my cold dead body from that hill. A capital R romance has a central love story and a satisfying ending. And I'm not going to say it again. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I'm probably going to say it like 6 or 7 more times in my career as a podcaster. But as a romance writer, those are the rules. So listening to Leslie's podcast on planning out her book was really inspirational. I was struggling. So I decided, let me back the truck up and like plan a little, which as a pantser, which is defined as a person who writes by the seat of their pants, they don't plan out anything. They just sit down at the keyboard and just bang stuff out. It's kind of dangerous because I'm a discovery writer. I discover the story as I write it, and I get bored if I feel like I already wrote the book, which is why I don't do any extensive outlining. I can't answer too many questions while I'm planning or outlining, but I like to give myself some ideas. It could be this or this or this or this. You could go here or here or here or here, and here's some ideas, and here's like a really general structural framework that you could maybe glance at while you're writing and think about being familiar with this, but here's like a little guide to go by. I need some lily pads to jump from. I need some ideas so that my brain can work and fill in the blanks there. The longer I have been a writer, I find I need at least a dotted line guide. I need a skinny outline. I need here's what happens in this book. So I have an idea of a plan, and I need to kind of know how I want it to end. I know the feeling and the mood where I want a book to end if I'm not planning out the actual run of show. So I realized that I did not have my crap together. So I went over to my Google Drive that I use to store all my book stuff. I'm trying to stop storing stuff on my laptop because we all know what happened in December when I went to publish Hey Lover, and I couldn't get into my laptop, and I had to completely wipe it and reload everything, and all the files that were saved on my laptop were gone, and I only had access to stuff that was saved in my Google Drive. And so I went ahead and moved everything over to Google Drive. Yes, I did. So over in Google Drive, I started a new folder for Elysium, and inside that folder, I'm opening my folder right now, I've got all my folders here for my books, and I'm opening Elysium. So I have a number of things in here. I have a little bit of an outline, and I'll tell you a fun thing is I went to ChatGPT, where I've been asking it questions about my characters. Like, for example, I think I didn't have ChatGPT name them, but I had them give me a list of names to pick from. Give me a list of names for Black males aged 40 to, 38 to 45. And it gives me a bunch of names. I'm like, oh, that one, pick that one. So I go back to ChatGPT, and I have been kind of working through different areas of this story, and it's all stored in the same chat. You can close it out and come back because I have signed in. So it's saved everything. So it's working off of information I have already supplied. So I went through ChatGPT, and I just asked it to, first of all, describe a 5-star beachside resort. Like, give me some ideas to go off of so I can describe Elysium. So it gives me a really good description of a 5-star beachside resort. So now I've got some ideas that I can work with, that I can read through and go, oh, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds good. So then I asked it to plan a 4-day, 3-night beach trip for a romantic getaway for 2 lovers. And it gave me a really good itinerary for 4 nights, 3 days at a beachside 5-star resort. Boom. I asked it for a day in the life of this, a particular nurse. Athena is a nurse. What's a day in the life of a nurse in this role? What's the day in the life of a travel agent? Vance owns a travel agency. Something that prods my mind toward thinking about the ins and outs of these characters. Like, these people have to be real. What's a typical day for Vance? What's a typical day for Athena? That kind of thing. And then I pulled out my romancing the beat template and I started filling that out. These are your romance beats. These are the expectations that readers have when they open a book. You're going to introduce your characters. They're going to have a meet cute. There's a beat called No Way, where your characters are arguing with themselves. Like the argument your character voices against falling in love, and it sets up the romance arc for the reader. The character basically says, either out loud or in internal dialogue, the reason that he or she will not fall in love. Not now, not ever, but especially not with character from the meet cute. Then there's another beat where it pushes you into the second act. This is where I usually get stuck. I can start a book with no problem, but once I get into act 2, it's like, what is happening now? This is a plot thrust. They can't walk away from each other now, not until they see this through. Then you have No Way 2, which restates like, okay, like we're here, but really for serious, we cannot fall in love. And then you hit the midpoint of your plot thrust. This is a beat where you show them everything they want. It's in reach. It's a false high. Then you have an inkling of doubt going back to your No Way, but seriously, but seriously, like you're good and everything, but seriously, no. And then deepening doubt, retreat, shields up, breakup if you want that. This is your third act breakup. And then Dark Night. This is a moment where your character wallows in a romance. They're likely to think they should be better at this point. They kept their worst fear from happening. So why am I so miserable? Why can't I stop thinking about them? That kind of thing. Then they wake up, correlating to the breakup. Something happens that makes them realize that they need to choose love over fear. They need to figure out how to fix the mess they got themselves into. And then there's a grand gesture. Somebody does something that's like, hey man, I am really, really into you. And I'm proving it by doing this big, important thing. I'm showing you. This is a big, grand gesture. And the other character is like, wow, you really love me. And I am all in. And then you get to the point where it's like what wholehearted looks like. This is your happily ever after moment. Like they're there and they're together. And then the epilogue is they kissed and made up, but then you show what is wholehearted in everyday life now that they are a couple. And so this is the beat sheet that I run through for all of my romances, or I should run through all my romances. I'm not really good at doing a romancing the beat sheet. There's several variations of this where you are adding in like all your family information. What is your character's zodiac sign? What is your character's Enneagram? What's your character's Myers-Briggs? I don't get that deep because I find that stuff boring as hell. It's boring. Now, it's things that I might discover as I'm writing. Like I'm typing, and Vance might be talking to his brother, and I'm thinking, is he older or younger? If he's the youngest, he's probably going to have these personality traits. And if he's older, he's going to have these personality traits. And if Vance is like a super spicy, fiery type of person, if Athena like holds a grudge or is sort of aloof, maybe that means she's an Aries. Maybe Vance is a Leo. Then I might pick up, a chart and say, okay, if Athena is this, what star sign would be the best match for her? I don't really get into star signs like that, but sometimes the characteristics give me really good suggestions for flaws in characters. Is he stubborn? Is he spoiled? Is she afraid? Does she look at life through rose-colored glasses? That type of thing. So I went back to ChatGPT thinking about trying to get to know my characters as real people. And I asked it to go through the goal, motivation, conflict, construct. Let's talk about goal, motivation, conflict from Vance's perspective. Let's talk about goal, motivation, conflict from Athena's perspective. So it types out, because it's already got pieces of my story and my characters, it gives me this long list of here could be Vance's goal, here could be Vance's motivation, here's a conflict, like an internal conflict or an external conflict. Vance certainly has an external conflict in that he's ready to sell his house, but he doesn't have anywhere to go quite yet. And so he's like searching for something. He is a man that is really in search of a new start, and he wants to start over with someone, and that someone could be Athena. This could be us, but you playing, Athena playing, that kind of thing. So I did my goal, motivation, conflict, and I saved that in a document so I can go through it, edit, make changes. That kind of sucks. Delete that. And then I actually asked ChatGPT to go through the romancing the beats. And because it already has all my story information, because I've been asking it questions and typing things out, it came out with beats for via romancing the beat for my book. It's not something I'm going to stick with, but it's something that I could refer back to. Then I went back and I asked it to go through the hero's journey and the heroine's journey. Those are all, it's also a plot and a planning structure. So I have that to refer back to. This is all just information that I could use to form my characters and use to give them a well-rounded personality, use to make them real people, and insert some of this into the book to make it full. So I want to thank Leslie for being so transparent in her planning process and talking about how she is using all of these plot and planning resources to just give her tons of ideas for planning out her characters, planning out her story, creating conflict. So I'm kind of having fun with it. And like, I remember when I first started writing, like I would get off work and I would come home and hop right on the laptop and just type, pound out words, because nobody was watching and nobody knew that I was writing. And there's a freedom in nobody knowing what's going on. And there's something about just being excited about writing. And I wasn't really excited about writing because this isn't a story that's just screaming to get out of my head quite yet, but it's getting there. Like the more I think about it and the more I research and the more I like come up with ideas of things they could do while they're on Black Diamond, and the way that I could keep bringing them together and create, this love story between these characters, I'm getting there. I did not get a ton of writing done, but understandable, because I did have to back the truck all the way up and get back to some planning. Like who are these people? What are you writing? So I do have a little story planner that I need to go through still to sort of figure out my character arcs, my character conflicts. I might go through a save the cat kind of thing. There's a lot going on in here. I actually picked up a story planner from Leslie Penelope's website, and it's an Excel or Google Sheets document that just has a bunch of story planning worksheets. And, you can fill them all out, or you can just choose a few. There's goal steps, there's save the cat, there's a 7-point plot, there's a Michael Haig character development, inner struggle. Lots of ways that you can use to dig into your story, create your characters, and make it more well-rounded. So that's what I've been working on. If I'm too busy to write, but I can plan with the best of them. So that's what I spent my week doing. This week, I only have one in-office day, and the calendar, knock on wood, looks kind of light. Of course, as we're moving into Memorial Day, I'm going to take some time off for Memorial Day. I am not traveling, but I did take some days off, so I am hoping to get deep into writing, get all like my planning out of my system, and get past chapter 3. And be in a really good writing spot, because Wordmakers has their quarterly 20K in 5 days challenge, and that begins in early June. And so I would like to get in a really good spot to pound out 20,000 words during that challenge. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, if any word makers ever listen to this podcast, I probably will not be in the write-ins because I will be working during that time. But the plan is to really pound out words during those challenge days and use the momentum of camaraderie and knowing I'm not the only person working, and do my check-ins and things like that. So that is the writing update. I hope that was interesting and not at all boring. And if it was, I do not apologize. This is my process. This is what happens. We are writing a book in real time, people. So my goal is to see where I'm at the end of 20K in 5 days and write during the summer. I have a trip planned to visit one of my good friends, Michael, and he's up in Chicago. That's going to be in early August. So I'm kind of hoping to be doing last passes in August while I am away, and just sort of like reading through it and like punching it up and making it beautiful so that I can get it to betas and an editor, etc. during August, and maybe have a new book by Labor Day. I don't know, somewhere around Labor Day. It could be after Labor Day. I plan to be on a beach for Labor Day, so it would be good to celebrate on the beach, celebrate a new book. We'll see. I'm trying not to stress myself out. You know what I'm saying? Don't stress out about it. Oh gosh. Today, let's see. I have reading I want to get to, and I have a podcast that I usually sit in on Saturdays. I am a Patreon member, and so as a member, one of the perks is you get to sit in on the podcast recording on Saturdays, and so that starts at noon. But first, I have coffee I want to drink. I think I'm going to... I don't want to listen to Rhonda McKnight. I probably am going to listen to the Tracy Crosswhite until noon. I have some cinnamon rolls, some mini cinnamon rolls that I bought with my dinner last night. Every time I buy dessert, I don't have room to eat it. So then I save it for the next day to have with my coffee. So I'm going to eat cinnamon rolls and drink coffee and listen to a book and edit this podcast and get it up so that I am ready to enjoy my time with the Three Guys on podcast at 12 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Bookcast. I have loved bringing it to you. I'll be back next week with a reading update and a writing update. Please enjoy this weekend. Have a superlative week, and we'll chat again next weekend. Bye-bye.